Coming up next on Art Rocks, a Baton Rouge couple making simple beads into distinctive jewelry.
I'm always very inspired by where I am culturally, physically, and I happen to be in Louisiana.
A man who's bringing musical meaning to life behind bars.
Either they're going to be rehabilitated to some degree, something that art and music can provide, or they're not.
An artist opening doors to the miniature magic of dollhouse design.
They started out very angsty, but they've evolved to be more of a whimsical sort of thing.
And a visit to the Chenault Museum in Monroe.
We have his first wings, his stars. We have the largest collection of Chenault memorabilia than any place in the United States.
That's all right now on Art Rocks.
Art Rocks is made possible by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and by viewers like you.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for Art Rocks with me, James Fox Smith of Country Roads Magazine. Let's start in the studio of the Baton Rouge woman behind a thriving jewelry business. For Madeline Ellis, sales have gotten so good, her husband Dawson has come on board as partner too.
Meet Madeline and Dawson Ellis, the owners of Mimosa, a jewelry-making business in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Both of them got degrees at LSU in landscape architecture. While they pursued their careers in design, Madeline took up the hobby of creating her own jewelry. Many of her designs came from her work environment.
To my core, I'm always very inspired by where I am culturally, physically, and I happen to be in Louisiana. Have the Monstera leaf. Here it's more of an interior plant. It can be outside in New Orleans, but it's part of the philodendron family, so I'm always very inspired by plants. I have a river cuff. That's what I call the river cuff. Harold Fisk made these maps in the 1940s. The Mississippi River, as it came down, all the different routes that it took and the different sediment. They're beautiful maps, and all the different routes are different colors, so I took and carved a piece that kind of represented that.
The more jewelry Madeline created, the more she saw that people liked her work, so she completely gave up landscape architecture and devoted her time fully to jewelry. The artist soon discovered that her background in design was helpful in her new career.
The way I attack a new piece of jewelry is very similar to the way I would have attacked a master plan or any kind of design in landscape, looking at all the different layers of it. So when I communicate on a custom piece with a customer, it's almost exactly, and it's kind of crazy, how I would do a consultation for a landscape design. I want to get to know your story. I want to know what is driving you to get me to design something for you. Same thing I would have done to create a space specifically for them.
As the demand for her jewelry increased, Madeline had trouble keeping up. That's when her husband decided it was time to join her full-time.
Coming from her hobby maybe 2 years ago, which was a profitable hobby, to me selling my business last year, to joining her about 3/4 of a year, we've probably doubled sales since then. Now our goal is to just keep expanding and make it as big as we can.
A quick survey of Mimosa's inventory reveals the Ellises are now making bracelets, bangles, necklaces, earrings, cufflinks, and more. Just what goes into making a piece of jewelry? Madeline describes the process of coming up with this Be Happy pendant.
There's quite a bit of drawing and quite a few renditions before I finally hone in on the final piece that I'm going to be carving.
Madeline then chisels her design into wax.
It's a really plastic kind of wax, so you have to carve it with like a Dremel tool type thing or X-Acto knife. There are different tools to use for it, but it's very hard.
It's Dawson's job to convert the wax carving into metal.
We will make a silicone mold of it, so making a mold to where you feed metal like veins, they call them sprues. That's what feeds the molten metal into the cuff. So to set that up into a mold would be the next process. And then once we do that, then we can recreate as many as we want.
Even after the metal jewels are cast, there is still more work.
The polishing and the grinding and cutting the sprues loose, and the finished product is probably, I'd say, in each one's an hour, I guess, once you start to finish, but you're also doing hundreds of them at the same time.
Madeline and Dawson work with a variety of metals, giving customers options on just how much they want to spend on any specific piece.
It's like a little BB, the silver and bronze and gold. So we've worked in all three metals so far, and it just comes in a little Ziploc bag, and you measure it out to where the metal, the specific gravity of the wax and the metal equal each other.
With Dawson taking over production, it gives Madeline more time to focus on designs.
I love highlighting things that people don't necessarily see as unique to Louisiana. I work with Cane River Pecan Company. The owner sifted through thousands of pecans to find the perfect pecan for me to take a mold of. We took an actual mold of that pecan and created some jewelry from that. I like to create pieces that help people kind of tighten their relationships around it. One of my most popular pieces is the You Are My Sunshine. It never ever gets old to hear somebody come in and say, oh, my grandmother sang that to me, or my mom sang that to me, and then, oh, my mom did too.
While the Ellises sell much of their work online, they also set up booths during major activities. Madeline says she loves the opportunities to interact with her customers.
I'm hearing the whispers of oh, this piece is kind of off, or I'm hearing, oh my God, I love this so much. So I take it all in. I like to sit down and digest it and then put it out into I need to do better at this. I need to hone in on this over here. So it's really great for feedback.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's kind of a dream. We wake up and say, I can't believe this is our jobs.
No matter where you roam in Louisiana, opportunities to connect with the arts are everywhere. The trick is knowing where to look. So here's a list of some cultural adventures coming up around the state in the week to come. To learn more about these and other events in Louisiana, visit lpb.org/artrocks or pick up a free copy of Country Roads magazine. LPB's Art Rocks website also features an archive of previous episodes, so to see any segment again, just log on to lpb.org. Going now to Los Angeles, California, where Wayne Kramer, former prison inmate and guitarist for punk band MC5, is the driving force behind the non-profit organisation Jail Guitar Doors USA. Named for a 1978 song by UK band The Clash, Jail Guitar Doors supplies musical instruments and opportunities for expression to inmates serving time in California and beyond. Based on his own experiences, Kramer says that he is convinced that music can help inmates pick up the pieces of their broken lives.
I was terrified, and everyone that faces the prison experience, certainly for the first time, is scared to death because you're going into a world where you're not safe. Now, all those fences and all those big tough looking prison guards and those concrete walls, they're not there to keep you safe.
Life fell apart in 1975 for Wayne Kramer, musician and co-founder of MC5. Convicted and locked up for selling cocaine to undercover federal agents. In 1977, The Clash recorded Jail Guitar Doors with the opening line, "Let me tell you about Wayne and his deals of cocaine." In 2007, UK rocker Billy Bragg forms the non-profit Jail Guitar Doors, providing musical instruments for rehabilitation to prisoners. In 2009, Wayne takes up the cause stateside. Rock Out, a concert to benefit Jail Guitar Doors.
And musicians have always, I think, identified with people that are marginalized, people that slip through the cracks, outsiders, rebels, reprobates, malcontents, ne'er-do-wells, and my experience has been that if I ask someone to come and help us help prisoners, they almost always say yes.
One of the reasons why I support Jail Guitar Doors at the top of the list is because I support Wayne Kramer. And when he asks me to do something, the answer is always an immediate hell yes. So I'm very happy to do it. But I believe it's a tremendously worthwhile cause. You know, the statistics show that recidivism rates are dramatically affected by programs like Jerry.
Everyone wants to be hugged. Everybody wants to be appreciated. Everybody wants to feel good. And I think music does that, you know, and it embraces people to where we can come together. And I think it's the collective human being that really is our greatest asset. You know, not defined by color or race or creed or anything like that. And as cliche as it sounds, that's what music does.
You know, it was to me, it's really interesting that the work is being done. It's really, we need it. We really need a way to reclaim these lives and to you know, the amount of people who are incarcerated is really shocking, you know, and I've never felt that the answer is more jails. I always thought it was more schools. So, but we really can't forget about those who are in there, who are, you know, and who need a way out, who need a way into an authentic life, a life that they, you know, feel and experience this life in positive terms. And I feel that music has been the most rewarding thing in my life, and it's the most valuable thing I could pass on to anybody.
The guitars aren't gifts. We don't give them as gifts. The guitars represent a challenge. If you accept these guitars, then you're accepting the challenge to use them, to find a new way to express yourself, a positive way to say this is who I am in the world, to send a message to the world about maybe how you got there, what you can do to make sure you never come back, a way to process your problems, a new way to process your problems.
When they get out of jail, they're going to be your neighbors. They're going to be out in the world, and either they're going to be rehabilitated to some degree and have avenues to express complicated and often mixed feelings, something that art and music can provide, or they're not. I would love to see them have that opportunity. And all you have to look at, you know who one of those people was, one of those desperate criminals who, you know, at the bottom rungs of society was Wayne Kramer. And music saved his life, and now he's trying to extend a hand to others, help save their lives with the gift of music.
I'd put it somewhere at 10% of the prison population, maybe 15%, that we won't reach. We won't get through to them. They're knuckleheads. They're not interested. And they may have grave mental and emotional difficulties on top of that. But that leaves 85% of the 2.3 million people that, if given the tools, would change for the better, that don't want to be in prison, that want to come home, that want to participate in life. If we don't help them change for the better while they're in custody, they will most certainly change for the worse.
I really admire what Wayne and Billy Bragg have started here, and I would do it any time they invited me.
Amber Groome is a Columbus, Ohio artist who explores the trauma of living with mental illness through meticulously crafted and often disturbing tableaus featuring dolls. Groome shares with us what's going on in her head and between her hands during the process of creation.
feel like they're kind of beautiful yet grotesque in a lot of ways. They started out very angsty, but they've evolved to be more of a whimsical sort of thing. They display a wide array of human emotions. They are a bit dark. A lot of people find them creepy. That I don't mind. I started very young drawing. I've always been inclined to artistic endeavors. My mom always encouraged it. It was a voice for me. I found that I identified through other people's artwork. I could really find my voice in other people's artwork, and I feel like that is a sacred communication with an artist and a viewer. I start out by sculpting the head, put together the body. It's all formed around a toothpick. They're meticulously sculpted. Then I put them in the oven and fire them. Then I use an assortment of lace remnants and little objects, found objects that I use for all to come together in detail. They're painted, the hair is applied, I construct the outfits. I think that the act of doing them is very ritualistic for me. It is very calming and soothing to get involved in the detail. It acts almost as a catharsis in a lot of ways for some of the emotions that I'm bringing up and showing and portraying in the dolls. I decide what goes into a piece by my found objects and assortments of collections, little musings that are inspiring to me. I scoured thrift stores, flea markets, antique shops. A lot of people even donate little objects to me that they think that I'll like. I really like to indulge in my aesthetic, so a lot of the things that you see around me are collected through antique shops and whatnot. It's very important for me to surround myself with inspiring objects. I'm represented by the Lindsay Gallery. It's a wonderful gallery. They represent folk art and outsider art. It's my home base. I feel very comfortable there. I enjoy the other artists that are shown there. Duff Lindsay is an incredible representative for my work. I first brought it to him probably about 6 years ago, and he immediately saw value in them and had faith in the artwork. So I'm very happy to be there. I enjoy showing the artwork and identifying with other people. I've had a lot of women that particularly identify with the work that have even come to me in tears, expressing, and that's the most amazing thing to me, to be able to touch someone like that with the artwork. That would be the reason why I do it the most and why I enjoy it the most.
Back to Louisiana now, where local folks have joined forces with citizens of China to preserve the legacy of General Claire Chennault, who was instrumental in helping the Chinese defend themselves against Japanese attack during World War II. In today's Louisiana Treasures segment, we visit the Chennault Military Museum in Monroe to see how art and memorabilia are being used to preserve the legacy of the leader of the Flying Tigers, who called Louisiana home.
Our museum is very unique in the fact that we don't honor the wars themselves, but we honor the people that served in the wars. So we have all wars from World War I through Iraqi freedom, and we have the story of the people and the servicemen that served. And so it's very meaningful to us because I tell people our museum is about the past, the present, and the future. We're about the past because we honor our past and the great history of this country. We are about the present because we work very hard with some of the issues that our military guys are coming home with today and from Iraq and Afghanistan. And also we're about the future because one of the most important aspects of what we do here at the museum is to educate our children. Our children are not being really taught history in the schools. So we feel like without this, that they're not going to know the history, they're not going to know their heritage, and one day it's going to be up to them to fight for our freedom or we're not going to stay free. Every exhibit we have here has a name and a face to it. So that actually lets people get involved with the people that served. And we go through here all the time, we see people with tears in their eyes. About 95% of our exhibits are about people from Northeast Louisiana. So it really gives us a great pride and sense of heritage. And you know, these kids that come through here, they see these uniforms, they see these faces, and they can't help but think, these men are special. They did something special. They contributed to my life that I have now. We're really proud of the fact that we have over 11,000 artifacts on display, and we have some very rare artifacts that you won't find in other places. And we have guns, the weaponry that we have that people have donated to the museum. The men really enjoy the weapons. We have something for everybody in the fact that we have the clothing and everything else that caters to the women. So we feel like everybody that comes to the museum will find something that they appreciate.
Headed out to Colorado now to meet a man who has been building custom carved wooden doors for 35 years. Dennie Ibbotson's doors are not only practical, they are also frequently symbolic. The artist shares the inspiration and the world that exists behind these unique doors.
Well, I'm one of the last master wood carvers left in America. Now, what I'm doing is 10,000 years old. Bas relief is carving on a flat surface where sculpture is carved on a round surface. I carve entry doors for log homes and beam and timber homes, which is my specialty. I also carve mantles and headboards and wall hangings and valances over windows. I carve North American mammals and wildlife scenes, and also I carve Southwest Indian doors, and I show the beauty in nature. I have this connectedness to a source, that the source moves my arms and I just go with it. I suffered a very severe traumatic brain injury. I died in Flight for Life. It took me 6 months to talk, to learn to talk, and 8 months to laugh. I find my inspiration waking up in the morning and being alive. I'm carving shamans, I'm carving Mayan angels. I'm in a supernatural realm, and I believe dying has given me a vision that has no limits. This is my creative genius, but I'm self-taught. I don't know what it's going to look like until it's done, because my work takes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, and you need patience to do something as magnificent as what I do. This is my newest carving. It took all last summer, 3 months. He's a Mayan child angel with animals of the rainforest. Her eyes, all the eyes are inlaid turquoise. This is stained glass. So all my furniture I built, and everything is carved. My home is a wood carving museum. My greatest compliment of a friend, my home is a visual orgasm. That works for me. My greatest joy in the world, someone comes up and they touch it. Because there's a magic, there's a feeling of hand carved. It's all hand carved. And no machine can produce that. Only this and this and this. I believe every artist has a duty to be outspoken and be a rebel. The hardest thing to carve is action. So anytime I can incorporate action, it's spectacular. My clients know that I'm a unique individual and they know I love what I do. So therefore they know whatever they're gonna get is one of a kind, the only one on the planet that I never carved the same carving twice. How boring would that be? I'm not boring.
That's going to do it for this edition of Art Rocks, but remember you can always watch episodes of the show at lpb.org/artrocks. And for even more coverage of our state's unique arts and culture, Country Roads magazine is a great source for finding out what's going on all across Louisiana. Until next week, I'm James Fox Smith, and thanks for watching.